I'm Hannah.
And I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, we are diving into Hannah's first ever Peachtree Road Race. What it's like to run the world's largest 10K on the 4th of July in the Atlanta heat and with 60,000 of your closest sweaty friends. Get ready because she's sharing all the peachy details and surprises along the way. So, lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Just no thoughts, just vibes. We just like, there was just like buffering, like that was basically what my head was doing. Welcome back, everybody.
We've had a week. There was a holiday. We had the biggest monster of an episode ever last week. So we're back and tired.
Yeah. We obviously are coming to you from the past. So if this is anything to say what my Monday is going to look like, oh baby. Actually, my entire week, if I'm being honest with you. But, you know, that's future me, but also by the time you hear this, past me's problem to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's your training going?
Well, I had a race this week, so that was most of my like training, and that's what we're going to be talking about is my race recap. So that really kicked my butt in ways that I should have expected, since I have had a lack thereof of training. I went on quite a few walks this week, so that was good. And yeah, I don't know. This race, I mean, it was really hot and I ran hard-ish, so that definitely contributed, but I am sore and it is telling me that I just need to kick it back into gear. And honestly, the race really like motivated me in that way.
Good.
So I'm excited for that. Excited for this week and ready to get the booty, literally the glute muscles, in gear.
Hey, that's good.
How about you?
So, training is going interestingly. I did an 8-miler this weekend that kind of stunk. I think a big takeaway from this week is that I'm not at the same long run pace I was last November, meaning when it's hot as Hades, I need to adapt for that. Because then my, standard long run pace is more of like a running hard pace. So I need to make sure I take a step back and I adapt for that. Also, getting into injuries, me and my knee are beefing.
Womp womp.
I went out to do I had some weird soreness for about the first 10 to 15 minutes of runs. Gosh, over a little bit of time. And I went out to do speed work last week and then it felt like it was more than just soreness, let's just say that. So I am going to see an ortho today if you're listening on day of release. And we're going to hope for the best. And what I think is the likely culprit, not that I am a doctor or health professional of any kind, is that over the course of June, I was a little on and off, but then still went 70 something miles. So the whole being down a couple times for being sick was a lot. And I think that trying to pick up where I was, and then I haven't really been doing as much strength training as I should or is normal. I think it's probably just overuse. Am I Delulu hoping it's just overuse? Yes. But I do think it's just somewhat overuse. I think I'll probably get a referral to PT and then we will go from there. But I think there's just way too much on the line for me to take a risk with Chicago being less than 100 days out. Ha, 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 ha. And then dopey afterwards. So I'm playing it pretty safe. I am seeking healthcare professional opinion and, we'll kind of go from there and figure out what's next if
Mhm.
whatever that is. I will say when I went out for my 8 miler that I actually didn't I had like a little like twinge, I'd say, when I was going downhill after having just gone up a relatively steep hill. But that
Mhm.
was it. Everything else felt great. So yeah, that's about that's about all I got for now. Definitely going to be faithfully doing my strength and whatnot too. But I'll keep y'all posted with what happens post doctor's appointment. I'm hoping it's just a nothing burger. I'm thinking that it really just is somewhat overuse and because then like I did like a ton more mobility before my run. And I think that's also a mistake I've made is that sometimes not doing quite as the same amount of mobility pre-run. So I did a
Mm.
ton before I went out on my 8 miler and then it was like, wow, just that little like tightness. But I think
Mhm.
either which way that it's time to, I don't want to say call it because we're not calling it. I think it's just time to get a medical professional involved and just have somebody have a grown up look at it because I'm not a grown up.
Yes, a solid warm-up routine is key. Definitely don't want to start out cold.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not starting out fully cold. I just am like, oh yeah, couple, and then we're done. But no, I think I need to make that time for it, especially when I'm standing inside and just spiraling about work. I should be doing my mobility during that time.
Mhm.
But
On a mixed, I was going to say more cheerful note because I think it's amusing and Amanda would say that it's amusing. Um but also kind of sad. We have a submission for the Blister Brigade. We haven't had
yay.
one of those in a long time, which is good. We don't want you guys to have blisters, but if you do, don't miss your chance. It's very fun for us to name them. So, yeah, Amanda submitted her blister this past week. And Natalie, do you want to read how she described it or
Oh,
tell the listeners how it occurred?
oh, I would love to. All right. She's tiny. She was born while I walked around Disney Springs in reef platform sandals in the rain. She immediately rubbed raw and obviously arrived at the worst time on a Disney trip 2 days before my epic universe day. Out for my first run in weeks, and she is covered and still raging in my shoe. You have my tiny, angry blister submission.
So we thought about it,
Mhm.
and this is what we've come up with. Tinker Hell. She's a pixie-sized pain machine. She sprinkles no magic, just irritation and regret. Which is what I feel when I get blisters from my flip-flops. She's jealous that you didn't pick sparkly Crocs instead of your reef sandals. So now you know.
Wah, wah. Pure mischief.
We hope you enjoy your new blister's name. Treat her well. Um
Or she'll come back. She
yeah.
probably will anyway.
All right, let's kick it off with our countdown to each race. Okay, so first up, we have 58 days until Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon Weekend 2025. You did hear that right. That's less than 60 days, which means we're just about 8 weeks out from race day.
Whew.
Wild. If you are training for any of those races, listen up. On Tuesday and Thursday, you've got your 30 minutes as normal. And if you're in the challenge, it's 30 to 45 minutes. Pick your poison. For the 5K, your long run this weekend is 2 miles. For the 10K, 4.25 miles. For the beginner half, experienced half, you're both doing 9.5 miles. And if you're running the challenge, you've got another back to back with 2 miles and then 9.5 miles. We have 107 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2025, which means next week we get to celebrate the big 100.
Dang.
Get ready. For training, if you are running the 10K or higher, you have something this week. You've got, again, Tuesday, Thursday is 30 minutes or 30 to 45 if you're in the challenge. 5K, you still don't have training yet. We're getting there, but hold your horses. 10K, 2 miles. Beginner half, 4 miles. Experienced half, 3 miles. I know. And challenge is also 3 miles. So this is your chance, beginner halves, to brag and just, let the experienced halves know that you're training harder than they are.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding. But it is a rare occurrence when the beginner half plan is higher mileage than the experience or the challenge. So enjoy. We have 183 days until marathon weekend 2026. If you're running the marathon, you've got a 30-minute run on Tuesday and Thursday. If you're in Goofy, you have the option of 30 to 45 minutes. Pick your poison. And if you're running Dopey, it's 45 minutes. Your long runs this weekend. Beginner marathon plan, you are running 4 miles. Experienced marathon, also 4 miles. Goofy, 4 miles. Can we guess what Dopey is? It's 4 miles. Eventually they will differentiate themselves, but for now it's all basically the same.
Is it weird that I kind of feel like weird FOMO that I'm not on the same track as everybody right now because my marathon's a lot closer?
I would feel FOMO because you have to run further, and
Yeah,
I'd be
hell
like,
yeah.
"Darn.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, "Oh,
Darn, I could
man."
only be at 4."
Yeah, or
This is weird runner logic.
yeah. Yeah, somebody remind me, next time I think fall marathons are a good idea. Continue.
You have to do it at least once.
True. True.
Just wait though, you're going to have so much fun. You will not regret it. Okay, we have 205 days until Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend 2026. Your shirt deadline is July 16th, 2025. That's next week, people. Next week. So if you need to change your shirt size, now's the time to do it. Your proof of time deadline is August 1st, 2025. So you have the rest of the month. So a few more weeks if you need to get another race in. You have 233 days until Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026 with the shirt deadline of August 4th, 2025, and proof of time September 1st, 2025. We have 282 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2026. Club Run Disney registration is coming up on July 22nd, 2025, and general registration is July 29th, 2025. Let's roll into some Disney news, Natalie.
Yeah, we probably are getting springtime surprise themes like today on day of release, but my Oracle is a little cloudy. It's in the shop, so I can't tell you what that is. So we'll talk about it next week. But what we did get over the last week was pass holder preview information and dates for test track. So pass holder previews will occur on July 13th, 14th, 15th, 18th, and 19th, and brings back our old boy, the virtual queue. In order to use the 7 a.m. virtual queue, you must have a park reservation at Epcot. And 1 p.m. virtual queue drop will be available to any pass holder who has valid admission. So blockouts do apply. So if you're blocked out, you're not going to be able to use and go for a virtual queue. We have covered how to work the virtual queue a couple times, most recently in the springtime surprise event guide episode. So check that out if you'd like a little bit more information on how virtual queues work and if you're a little rusty, because it's been a minute since we've had VQs around. Exciting times.
Absolutely. I think they're trying to get rid of them, honestly.
I hope not. I mean, I do think it's the most effective way because basically the way that pass holder previews went in the last couple of years beforehand, before they kind of implemented the virtual queue side of it, was that like it's like Run Disney registration version of like getting in a queue to get the AP preview slot to get and then that also um, had opportunities for people who were blocked out to take those slots. So,
Mhm.
say if you had the Pixie Pass, which is the weekday pass, and you took a Saturday, it let you because they weren't linked. Those systems weren't linked. It would let you take that, and then it would go oops, and then later you would have to find out that well, you can't actually take that reservation because what Disney would do is like automatically issue you the park pass reservation and then it would stop there. So I think putting it all through the app as such, which is linked to your admission, is a little bit better of a format in my opinion. But
Mhm.
peace, love, VQ. Kind of miss you, TBH. Actually, I don't because I don't miss having to be up at 7 in the morning for that or like everybody stop in the middle of a race. To get the VQs. But I usually would like yell out like it's 10 minutes till virtual queue time uh around me. We've got the Eat to the Beat lineup for the Food and Wine Festival for 2025. And it'll run from August 28th to November 17th. Your show times daily will be at 5:30, 6:45, and 8 p.m. There's a whole list of artists. There's a lot of returning artists, but I wanted to flag the ones that would overlap Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend. We have Hoobastank on October 24th and 25th. And
Is it bad that I don't know who that is?
I don't either.
Oh, okay.
I was just hoping, honestly, that I said it right. Um, and I think I did, but please, Hoobastank, if you're out there listening, let me know. And, or big fans of Hoobastank. Please let a girlie know. I apologize if I did not pronounce it correctly. But what we do have overlapping Wine and Dine. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for this? We have Smash Mouth on October 26th and 27th. And guess what? The Wine and Dine after party date is it's the 26th.
Oh my goodness.
The years are about to start coming and they won't stop coming, baby. I am so ready for Smash Mouth.
Maybe I need to change my travel plans and just get on one of those stupid early Monday flights instead.
Yes. Yes, you do, actually. Or go to the 5:30 showing of for Smash Mouth.
Mm, I still feel like that would be risky.
Yeah, that is risking it for the biscuit, but also it is Smash Mouth. So, very exciting. But yeah, it's weird being in like Diet Epcot mode right now in the first place.
Mhm.
Liking it, but also kind of weird. But it's kind of like, oh wow, like yeah, food and wine is coming. They're sweeping under those
It
booths,
is.
everybody.
We're getting prepped.
Yes.
All right, is it time for our Disney fun fact?
Oh, it sure is. Today, July 8th, in 1997, Michael Eisner attends the first preview of The Lion King musical at the Orpheum Theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Wow. I still haven't seen that.
Oh, really? I saw it when it was in
Mhm.
Chicago.
Nope. Roughly when was that?
I was in like the second grade.
Yeah, see, we were living in maybe we had just moved to Indiana? No. No, second grade we lived in Illinois. So we could have had an opportunity, but maybe I don't know, maybe my mom thought we wouldn't enjoy it. Too young, I'm not really sure.
It's definitely a good one. It's I mean, it's one of the longer running shows on Broadway as well, and it's
Mhm. I
definitely a
mean, I've heard it's
spectacle.
amazing.
Yeah. I think that what they add to the story really kinda amps things up. Something I don't have on our outline is that today also was, I think, the closing of Tarzan, on
Oh.
Broadway, which is actually really sad. It didn't actually run all that long,
Hmm.
which is sad because Tarzan's a banger. But something that is on the outline, on this day in 2009, they had the groundbreaking at Disney's California Adventure Park for Radiator Springs.
Wow. Another thing that I've never experienced.
Oh, that's a good one. It's crazy because now, well, I guess I've only been to Disneyland with Radiator Springs there, so it's crazy to
Mhm.
me, but I also remember, when they used to send you the vacation planning DVDs. This is gonna start a tangent, but the vacation planning DVDs, and I would pour through the whole thing, the Disney Cru like, I like, the all of the Walt Disney World stuff naturally, but then also the Disney Cruise stuff, also the, Disneyland stuff, and I remember seeing clips about Radiator Springs and how cool. I'm like, wow, they have a whole Cars Land out at in California. Also, Rip Tom Sawyer Island now, but yeah, it was kind of wild. Because I just viscerally remember like that being like a new thing, even though I didn't experience it until quite a few years later, and it's still very popular.
Yeah. I bet Ben and I just watched Cars the other day.
Oh, ka-chow, baby, ka-chow. So speaking about things that are very fast and very popular, let's talk about Peachtree.
Let's do it. So, we're going to start off with like a brief history segment on Peachtree. So, if you don't know what it is or have never heard of it, wow, congrats. It is the largest 10K in the whole world, and it takes place every 4th of July here in Atlanta. The very first Peachtree Road Race was on July 4th, 1970. So this was the 56th running, I think. Math. Maybe 55. I should know. I literally just ran it. Let's Google.
I'm off duty still. It's Sunday. I'm not doing math, even if it's Tuesday or later when y'all are listening.
Haha, I was right. It
Nice.
is the 56th. Good job, me.
Yeah, good job.
Yes, so this year was the 56th running of the Atlanta Journal Constitution Peachtree Road Race. Um, it was organized by Tim Singleton. He was a local running enthusiast and part of the Atlanta Track Club, and he just wanted something fun and competitive for the community. That used the in the very first one, it started at the old Sears building on Peachtree Street and went to a park called Central City Park, which is now Woodruff Park. The current course is different than it was back then. Now it starts in Lenox Square, which is where the mall is in like the Buckhead area. And then we run south on Peachtree until we reach 10th Street. Then you turn left and make your way to Piedmont Park and finish in the park. Um, and it's very fun, but you run on Peachtree basically until just before the 6 mile mark, like just a little bit is on 10th Street. So hence the name Peachtree Road Race. It grew explosively. In the very first year, there was only 110 runners in the
Hmm.
race. But by 1976, the race was capped at 10,000 runners because it was attracting so many participants and demand had grown so quickly. Um, Over time, the cap has obviously increased. The current cap is 60,000 runners.
Holy crap.
This year, they say the estimate of how many people ran was around 53,000, which is a new record. It's been growing every year, but they've capped it at 60K. So it is, if you've ever run a world major, it's the size of a world major, but for a 10K. That's how many people are there.
I have so many questions, but I'm gonna let you finish.
If you want to run, there is a lottery system nowadays. Atlanta Track Club members get guaranteed entry if you remember to like register in the window. So if you're a member of Atlanta Track Club because they run the race, you get in, which is honestly, I think, most people's reason for being a member of the Atlanta Track Club is to guarantee their entry into this race every year. They also offer a few I mean, they offer registration for legacy runners, people that have running for a certain amount of time, but there are a few opportunities throughout the year if you aren't an Atlanta Track Club member to get guaranteed entry without having to go through the lottery. This week is one of them. For the week post race, they leave it like open. Anyone can go in and register for next year's race. So if you're very intrigued after this episode, there's your opportunity. You can also bundle because they do the Peachtree Polar Opposite Race, which just started this past year, where you run the same course as Peachtree, but in reverse. So you run from the park to Lenox Square, and it's in January. And so the weather is, I would say, much more optimal. There's a lot of traditions. It's like basically the biggest block party you've ever participated in because even though it's the size of a major, the vibes are not the same as like when I ran Chicago. There's like high energy. Everyone is super excited, but the level of seriousness, I guess, like that tension is not the same because most people in the race are there for a good time. I'm sure that's not true for, like, the elites and the seated people up in the front who aren't even in they have their own corrals before they start lettering the corrals.
Ah,
Um, but for basically everybody else, it's basically a giant party. There's DJs, there's tons of spectators, there's bands, like, every couple of blocks, there's people playing, there's so many funny signs. Free stuff was being thrown at us, there's food and snacks and adult beverages, just being handed out willy-nilly. I walked past or ran past, depending on where on the course I was, many a people giving out free shots.
damn.
Um, and the course is not terrible. There's one, like, giant hill. It's literally called Cardiac Hill. Um, not I don't think because you're gonna have a cardiac arrest or whatever. It does
Oh.
happen to be right next to the hospital.
Ah, okay.
And this year they actually renamed it Hope Hill because the Shepherd Center, which is right there at that hill, was celebrating its 50th anniversary in the community. So they renamed it Hope Hill, which I think sounds less scary, but that hill is terrible. I will not deny it is an awful hill. Like we joke and run Disney about like it's a flat course except for the on ramps, and the on ramps suck. I will not deny that, especially with them being banked. Like that is not good for your ankles. But Cardiac Hill just goes. It feels like it never ends. And it's kind of like a 2 terraced hill situation, so you go up, there's almost like a false plateau for a second, and then you keep going up, and they literally have signs at the beginning and the end that say "Entering." This time it said Hope Hill, and then when you get to the end, there's a sign that says "Exiting Hope Hill," or Cardiac Hill most years. Um, and you would think, a lot of races, especially around Disney, were in it for the medals. A lot of us. The medals are pretty iconic and huge and weighty and exciting and move or light up or glitter or glow or whatever. There is a medal at Peachtree every year. However, it is a like an add-on. You do not get a medal by default for this race. If you want the commemorative medal, there is a different design every year and it's fun and you can add that on with your registration. However, the finisher shirt is the claim to fame for this race. It is
Oh,
legendary, and they keep the design a secret, literally until you pick it up at the finish line, and you can only get it if you finish the race. Whereas the medal, you can pick your medal up at the expo, or you can go pick it up after you finish the race at, like, a tent. Um, but the shirt, yeah, like, track club members and people vote on, like, some designs, so you kinda have, like, a little bit of an idea of what it could maybe be, but you don't know what it's gonna be until you pick up your shirt at the finish line. And then the medal is very cute, don't get me wrong. I definitely got it because it's my first one. I for sure wanna have it to add to my other collection of medals, and it's shaped like a peach because 'cause we're Georgia peaches here, and Yeah, it was very, very cute. This is kind of like if you run and live in Atlanta, this is kind of like a rite of passage. A lot of people, this is their first race because even though it's like, which is weird to say considering it's as big as a major, but it's fun. It's like iconic. It happens every year, as most annual races do. But it's like there's similar to Run Disney vibes of there's no judgment of speed, if you're fast, if you're slow, if you're anything, walking, stroller, I don't whatever. Um, it's very inclusive in that way. Tons of people are dressed up. And it's just very, very fun. This was, believe it or not, my first Peachtree, and I've lived in Atlanta now for almost this might be my 5th 4th of July, I think, here. 4th or 5th, and this is my first time running Peachtree because last year was the first year we were actually in town. We always went out of town to celebrate 4th of July, and I waited too long to register Ben and
Mm.
I, so I couldn't get us in, and then this year I was determined to not miss it. So, with all of that history and info in mind, I had to see what all of that hype was about, and let me tell you, it definitely did not disappoint. It was a big deal. I was so excited about this race that I actually volunteered with the Atlanta Track Club the day before at the expo and spent more time than I've ever spent in an expo, even with how many times we go back to the expo cumulatively over a Run Disney weekend. I got there at
Whoa.
7 a.m. Even though, so 7 a.m., the expo for Peachtree opened to Atlanta Track Club members at 9 a.m., but the Peachtree Junior race is the day before. So
Oh.
at like, I want to say 7:30 or 8 a.m. is when the expo opens for Peachtree Junior runners. And so it's just like a bunch of kids and their parents. There's also 2 days of expo. So there was a day the day before as well. But I think most of the Peachtree Junior kids come that day because their parents aren't going to make multiple trips to pick up their stuff and bring them to the race and
Fair.
all that jazz. I was working in merchandise, which was very exciting, but then I only stayed for I don't know, the first maybe 2 hours of the shift I was in merchandise, and then I shouldn't just say someone. The person in charge of all the volunteers for, the Atlanta Track Club came by and needed extra volunteers to help direct parents and kids to the correct places for corral placement.
Ah.
So, I was, voluntold not no, I wasn't. I was actually very hyped about it. They asked for people who were, like, good at directing and, like, cheering kids on, and I was like, "Oh, baby. You do not know what you just asked for." We took the wrong turn trying to get there for my little assigned shift, and, um, she found out who she picked. I was cheering like it was a Run Disney race, and every single one of those kids who just finished the mile run were marathon finishers for their first time, and that like it was just the most amazing thing that had ever happened ever in the universe. I was so proud of every single person that was running past. Honestly, it's a miracle I didn't lose my voice. We ended up getting to the correct spot, and it was just like me doing a lot of waving of hands and being like, right this way, behind the blue barrier, take a turn, then find your age group. Woo! Are you ready, Dashers? Let's do this. Very hyped. And I very much enjoyed it. I did get a little sunburnt because I didn't plan on being outside. I had planned on being at the merchandise tent inside the air conditioned area. But it was very cute and there was a lot of it was kind of funny how like a lot of parents were obviously just there because it's like a cute thing to see your 2-year-old run like
Aw.
100 they kept saying it was 100 yards, but I don't think it was that far. I think it was closer to like half of that maybe. I don't know. But like to see your little 2-year-old like waddle, but a lot of parents were in the crowd with their kids and like helping make sure they go the right direction and stuff. They're running towards mascots. They know what's up. And it was just really adorable. Went all the way up to 6-year-olds in the dash, and there was a mile before the dash. That was where, like, kids, I wanna say 6 and older up to possibly up to 18, I think you could run in the mile. maybe younger, but I didn't check. But it was very cute, and they were very proud of themselves. Then I finished up my shift at the expo, which I got an extra free t-shirt.
Nice.
Love me a free t-shirt for volunteering. And we also got like snacks and drinks and stuff provided while we were there, as well as I got a pin that says like Peachtree Road Race volunteer on it. And we got a little like, have you ever seen those nail aprons that you use when you're gonna do woodworking or whatever? It's like a very
Oh,
short apron,
yeah.
like, not even like a foot long,
Yes.
and it has like a couple pockets for nails. Well, they gave us those. I guess Home Depot was a sponsor, so we
Oh,
got
that
those
makes sense.
with, like, stuff in them. So I got a free milkshake from Chick-fil-A voucher. I get a discount code for stuff on the Atlanta Track Club website. Um, just a variety of things, I guess, to encourage you to volunteer. Honestly, regardless of the things, it was fun. It was just fun to see a bunch of people, like, excited and enjoying themselves and, like, getting ready for what was to come. After that, after my shift ended, our friends finally showed up. So if you've listened a few episodes back, we interviewed a bunch of the girls from Main Street Marathoners, and we have been very close friends ever since. And MB and Megan were both running the race this past weekend, and our friend Jamie also came into town. She did not run, but she's the best spectator that ever has spectated. She did a great job, and she's so hyped to do it next year. I'm so excited. The whole friend group really is. Everyone had the FOMO. Tell us about the FOMO, Natalie.
So, enter me. It's the 4th of July, and the group chat's blowing up before I'm even out of bed. And this is me
Yeah,
telling a story on
they got
behalf.
on the road at like 3 a.m. to drive here.
Oh, yeah, that too. I have the worst FOMO because everybody was hanging out, and this is probably how Hannah felt last month when I was down at Disney with some of our friends too. But even just the race in general, which I know I'm skipping ahead just a smidge, but it was like, oh, like I've had like 5 drinks before I finished 6 miles. Like, dang, that's awesome. I want to come down. So I want to come down for next year because it sounds like an entire vibe.
Yes, it is an entire vibe. We are going to have quite the adventure next year. That's for sure. We collected all of our things, and I got a few tidbits at the expo. I got myself a commemorative pint glass.
Ooh.
I got a bag. I got a tank top, which I ended up wearing in the race. It says Atlanta's 4th of July tradition, and then has the word tradition like a bunch of times all the way down it. It's red.
Ooh.
And you can see it if you go check out our Instagram. I then walked through the rest of the expo with the girls, and we collected as many free things as we could from as many vendors as possible. We got bags from the Chiquita Banana people. I got a bright yellow hat from them as well. You could get a hat or a headband. So I got a hat for Ben because he wasn't there. And then we got Rain energy drinks. We tried new Coke flavors. We took a photo with Pelican. The lion at Ameris Bank got jealous and almost started a fist fight with Jamie. Jamie was giving out glitter for Miles of Shimmer to anyone and everyone that she could. She is so brave. I could never talk to that many strangers. um, but it was really cute. We also saw a ton of Run Disney people while we were there. We got our wristbands. You can get your ID checked ahead of time, and they put like a 21 up wristband so you could sample Sweetwater beer while we were there as well. There was a Chick-fil-A booth. I think it was mostly like a coloring station for kids, what Chick-fil-A was sponsoring. So I don't think we got anything free there. And then Publix is a big sponsor in the Atlanta
Mhm.
area. They sponsor the marathon every year. They were giving away free scoops of ice cream for their 4th of
Ooh.
July like seasonal flavors. And I had the caramel popcorn, and they also had like a berry cobbler something, but I got the caramel popcorn one. That was very exciting. The volunteers, they were like little cups, but they were maybe like half scoops in each one. But the volunteers did not care. They were like, yeah, if it doesn't look like enough, just take 2 cups.
That's amazing.
So we had a lot of fun. We went and saw the start line, took photos with the start line because they set the start line up like 3 days in advance. And there was no one up there except for some official photographers that were trying to take photos of the pace cars who politely waited for us to get done with all of our shenanigans before they were like, "So are you done? Because like, we need to take some official photos." And we were like, "Oh,
Oopsie.
sorry." And one of the guys gave Jamie the weirdest, like, the most disapproving look ever because Jamie laid down in the street under the start sign
Iconic.
as, like, "This is what I would be if I ran," I think was, like, the joke, maybe. And it was funny, don't get me wrong, and they've painted the road, but the road is gross. I would not
Brave.
recommend lying down on Peachtree. So yeah, after that, it was just like a day of kind of waiting. We all went home and got ready. I got my fuel ready. I got my outfit ready. I was very indecisive. Couldn't pick. I had too many options for my outfit. I had two different red tops. I had two different blue skirts. I had a ton of accessories. I had like five different hair bows to choose from. I had some other skirts as well, but I was too scared. They were new. I got them on Amazon. Hadn't had a
Mm,
chance to run. Was worried about the chafe. Um, so yeah, I stuck with my tried and true red shorts. I went with my blue sparkle skirt, a blue sports bra that you could see peeking out every once in a while through the tank top, and then the red traditionist tank top. I had red, white, and blue like bead necklaces, like kind of like what you do for Mardi Gras.
mhm,
And then I had a red Atlanta Track Club visor and a blue also Sparkle Athletics bow, light blue to match my sports bra that you could barely see, but it was nice to have like different shades of blue kind of popped. And then I was wearing miles of shimmer glitter on my face, prepped that. I forgot my gym boss, which was not great. And I also made temporary tattoos for myself and all the girlies, and it is literally still on my arm because they last that long. This is my soft hard launch of
Woo!
of my personal project that I've referenced a few times. I am starting a business making temporary tattoos for the Run Disney community. Also, if you don't run Disney and you just like them, that's fine too. Basically, it's called the Start Line Co. And the vision is that I want there to be temporary tattoos that are motivating and celebrate the courage and commitment that everyone puts forward uh, to get to the start line, whether that's a metaphorical or physical start line, choosing to run, choosing to sign up for a race. Every time you make a choice and have that courage to make that commitment, I think that should be celebrated. And I want the designs to be fun and magical, just like Disney makes us feel. So we'll be launching soon. You can find us on Instagram. We have a website. Um, there's a Facebook page. It's literally all the Start Line Co. So pretty easy to find. And if you happen to notice that the Instagram doesn't have very much going on yet, that's because we haven't launched yet. And I'll let you guys know closer when we do launch, but it will be this summer, so it's coming soon.
Wow, I did not think we were getting a hard launch today, but then also once you started talking, I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, we have a lot of different designs, so this is like my little interlude. I've already designed race specific tattoos for Halloween and Wine and Dine. I've started on marathon weekend, so we're a few races ahead. And then there's also going to be like, I don't want to say generic because that's not the vibe, but more like motivational. I have one that's called Poor Unfortunate Souls, but like the sole of your shoe. Haha, very funny, I know. Um okay, maybe it's just funny to me. And I'm just really excited to see what all of you guys think. So,
Woo.
yeah. They did last very well though. We're still in the testing phase, hence why we haven't launched yet, but the ones I made for 4th of July were Peachtree Road Race themed for all of us, and they were quite large, and they went on super easily, and now, as of recording, I'm on day 3, and unless you're literally, like, right up, like, looking at it like I am, you cannot tell that anything has happened to the tattoo. From a distance, it still looks perfect. There's a little bit of, like, peeling on the edges and cracking, but we are still in the testing phase, and it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, it is.
All right, back to the planning. So, yeah, I couldn't decide. I had a lot of options, so I made those decisions like first thing in the morning. Opted not to pack my hydration vest, even though I knew it was going to be hot, because there are a lot of hydration, like official hydration stations on the course. And then there was also a lot of unofficial hydration stations. I feel like every quarter to half a mile, like a church or someone was giving out water or water bottles or something, and then also you also had the adult beverages if you were so inclined. There was no way you were gonna miss out, but I do think I underplanned on my fueling a little bit. I had planned on taking a honey stinger waffle right before start, and I forgot it in the car, so I didn't do that. So I was pretty hungry by the time the race started, which is never a good way to start the
No.
race. So yeah, but I was supposed to have that, and then the plan was to have a honey stinger gel at the between the 20 and 30-minute mark, and then to have my blocks at the next two station like feed intervals, and then because I was doing 20 to 30 because it was a shorter effort, I thought, like, that would be enough. That was not enough. I definitely needed at least one more pack of blocks by the end. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I underfueled. Hydration was fine, but, like, I definitely underfueled and maybe was a little light on electrolytes because my eye was giving me, like, a weird twitchy
Hmm.
feeling towards the end. I didn't have any, like, finger swelling or anything, but, like, I think I was maybe just a little low on the electrolytes. Um, but to back up a little bit, we woke up race morning. We live about during, like, the day, it's probably anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to get from where we live to where the race starts, depending on traffic. But the morning of, because the race recommends you get there at 6:30 because there's 50 plus thousand people there,
Yeah.
and you need to figure out where you're going. Um, the race starts at 6:50 for the wheeled athletes, then elites, and then seated, I think. So by the time we were in H corral, it was a while in the corral, but nothing we haven't experienced at Disney. Like, I think I've been in the corrals longer at Disney, honestly. Um, we ended up waking up at 4:15 because I wanted to make sure that we could leave by 5 a.m. to give us plenty of buffer, because I had no way. I was just very unsure of what the traffic situation would be around
Mhm.
the start line. There's basically very limited parking because they have all the roads closed, so, like, you can't really go to the mall to park. We had premium parking, which is an additional parking pass that you could buy that's in a parking garage at, like, there's, like, 2 malls basically across the street from each other, so it's behind what the other mall in Phipps Plaza, and we parked there, which was really nice and very convenient. And you could only get there by going a certain way, so I had to make sure we didn't there's a lot of ways for us to get there, make sure we got on the right highway. And we also were trying to get a pork butt on the smoker before we left. So we were just, like, juggling a lot that morning. We did leave a little bit late, but we still got there by 6 to meet up with MB and Jamie and Megan, and Megan's husband was there as well, and their doggo, who's so cute, he was there. And we just had a really good time. We met up just outside the parking garage. There was like a whole parking lot next to the mall filled with porta potties, so thousands and thousands of people, just like Run Disney, in line
Corral
for porta
P.
potties. That's where we met up. We used our Find My Friends to locate each other. And I brought the tattoos, put them we literally, because we had to like sort of makeshift the application since it was in the middle of a parking lot, I did not have a towel present. We literally just took cups from the hydration station and like poured water down our arms to saturate the tattoos, which worked really well. And it felt a little bit weird to be, I mean, it's waking up pretty early, but like for Disney, we would have
Mhm.
already been there. But then when we woke up, it still felt early and it was dark, but then by the time we, like, actually started the race, the sun was up, but it was still early and we finished before lunchtime. Like, it was just, like, a weird time. It felt weird to be awake so early, but to start the
Yeah,
race in the
that
sun.
would be a little odd.
I don't know. Like, Chicago is like that, but you start so much later unless you're in Corral A or an Elite or something. Um So yeah, that was a little bit odd, but we had a lot of fun. We took a lot of pictures in the parking lot. Everyone looked super cute, had really cute outfits put together. Even Jamie to spectate was wearing red, white, and blue. She was
Love.
all decked out. It was awesome. And Jamie was such a she's such a good friend. We applied all the tattoos and she was like, "And did you get a bunch of good pictures and stuff?" And I was like, "No, I haven't taken any." And she was like, "What?"
Get you a hype woman.
Get you a hype woman. Jamie is the best hype woman. She took so many pictures of us. She was, like I said, at the expo, she can talk to anybody, just giving glitter away to strangers. And yeah, no, get yourself a hype woman. We worked our way. It was actually very easy to find the corrals because the way they mapped them out, it looked like they were going to be in a T formation, but they actually ended up, they were different than on the map that they had sent out to participants. They were actually just, we were all just in one big straight line on Peachtree. So you just had to keep walking until you found your letter. But unlike Run Disney and Chicago and literally every other race that had corrals that I've been in, there was like no checks. It's fully an honor system. At least as far back as I was, it's fully an honor system. There were people of all letters in my corral. No one was telling you like, "Hey, you're in the wrong one. You need to move back," or whatever. Um, I think because the vibe is it's a party, no one's gonna tell you like you can't be with your friend pretty much.
Interesting for how large it
So
is.
it's yes, considering there are so many people, it is an honor system of what corral you end up in.
Because I had a
Um,
question for you about how I know that people talk about
yeah.
having POT for Peachtree and stuff like that. I was a little curious what the process was for that.
Mhm. So, I did submit, a POT because that is how you get seated. If you don't have one, then you just theoretically end up in the last corral. There's 2 different, um, groups. So if you're a member of the Atlanta Track Club, there's A through, I wanna say, M? Maybe it's like the last corral you could be placed in if you're an Atlanta Track Club member. So, like, the spacing of speeds is
Mhm.
in a smaller range of corrals, and if you're not a member, then you could be anywhere from A
Wow.
to Y this year, was how far the corrals went, and so you could be spaced out. So there's kind of a mix of speeds, like, if you don't have a proof of time, but you're a track club member, then you're gonna be M, but if you're not a member, you're probably in Y. So there would be track club members with non-track club members that are maybe, like, twice as
Hmm.
fast.
So what was their cutoff for POT? Or like, did they use halves? Was it marathons?
And you could submit a
Okay.
5 or a 10K for proof of time, and I can only remember the 10K cutoff time because I think
Mhm.
they, like, multiply it out if you have a 5K, and the, like, longest one is an hour 30 plus. So if you're anything over that, basically no proof of time or your proof of time is longer than that, that's, like, the thing. The pace cutoff for the race itself is a 21-minute mile, so it's even slower
Oh
than
wow,
Run
that's
Disney,
that's generous.
um, which they can kind of accommodate, I think,
Yeah.
because it's a shorter race. Um, so even at a 21-minute pace in the last corral, what, you're gonna finish somewhere around the 2-ish hour mark, right? Even if you don't start
Yeah,
until
like
after
2:10-ish,
8
I think.
AM. Like, yeah, they, like, basically they do a staggered, like, they just reopen the road as the pace car passes, so they reopen. But so the whole road is back open by, I
Mhm.
wanna say 11. Um, and then everyone just hangs out in the park, like, they have the whole
Mhm.
so Piedmont Park is huge, and the meadow is one of the largest areas in the park, but it's got, like, a during the race, they put up sort of a temporary fence situation. It's not like you can't go in and out, but they've definitely, like, clearly indicated that, like,
Right.
this is an area for an event. But, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, for sure. So, the actual race, we got to our corral, we were in H. I think we got started, let's see, we got started
Gotta check again to see,
at
you know, it's real or not Garmin. But
7:30
oh,
AM is when we crossed the start line. So, we were in the corral for a little less than an hour because we didn't get in till after 6:30, into the actual corral. We were there, obviously, but we just, like,
and by
lollygagged
you, we
and
mean you and
had
Ben,
fun.
correct?
Yeah, Ben and I got into the corral together, and then Megan and MB headed back towards their corrals. Um, but that we all went and got
Right.
into our corrals at about the same time. They would have started later because they were in a further back group because they're not track club members. And then as we were, like, progressing towards the start line, they have this gigantic American flag that they have hanging out. It's kind of, like, iconic. They just always have it there right before the start line. I managed to get a video of every single mile marker on
Nice.
this course. I talked about that was one of my goals, was to finally get a picture or a video of a mile of every single mile marker in a race. And I did it. I'm proud of myself for that. And I also saw, what are some other highlights? There's, like, music everywhere. Everyone's having a great time. I saw a banner of Gonzo, RIP Muppets.
Not
And
kidding.
I know they're not the same, but I also saw a banner of Big Bird, and I texted both to the group chat and said I was dying, and I meant it in a one, it was hilarious, and I knew you guys had to see it, but also I was physically dying because by the time I saw these banners, I was maybe, like, mid-race. I think I was nearing mile 4, which is about when I started dying because the middle half to 3/4-ish on the course is, like, very exposed, and so full sun, and it's
Ooh.
just, like, radiating off the pavement,
Ooh,
and the
yum.
temperatures were in, like, when we got there before, the sun had a chance to do its thing, it was in the mid-70s, I wanna say, but by the end of the race, probably low 90s. We were under
Ugh.
Yeah, we were under yellow flag conditions, if that puts it into any perspective for you, that high 80s, low 90s is a yellow flag in Atlanta. Last year, they had to black flag the race and stop it and just sort of, like, move people to the finish. They could get their shirt and then they just had to leave. You couldn't stay, like, they canceled all the after party
Wow.
celebrations and everything, and there was, I wanna say, we got into the hundreds, the low hundreds last year on race day by the time they had to black flag. They just, like, slowly kept and ended up having to cancel,
Damn.
which most people finished before that, but oof. Yeah. I saw the other really fun thing that happened on the course is I was trying to be a very good runner. I was, even though I forgot my gym boss, I was trying to do it, do the math myself on my watch, which was incredibly difficult because I forgot to turn off notification alerts for the group chat. So I had to keep clearing all the group chat notifications so I could see my watch.
Brutal.
um but I was trying to do that, and so I was trying to be very good, and I was trying to, be like Cece and be like the other pacers at Run Disney and just like be my best. And so I was raising my hand when I had to change intervals. I would say what I was about to do. So if I was going to go into a walking interval, I would say walking in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walking. And I was
Good.
counting down with my fingers and like very loud. Ben ditched me very quickly. That has nothing to do with it, I'm sure. No, it really didn't. I think he just really wanted to like live his best life and attempt a PR, which he got. So I'm proud of him. But I was getting a lot of like really weird stares, let's say, because people are having fun, but not most people are. There was other people interval running, jeffing, whatever. Um, but I was the only one who was like shouting and like really trying to vigorously indicate what was going on. And I had a lot of people staring. One person turned around who was in front of me and told me that they half expected to see me leading a whole freaking pace group, and I'm honored, but no. And then I had a lot of other people just like giving me weird looks. I had to explain myself a few times. One lady was giving me a weird look, and I thought it was because of that, but it was actually because she was looking for her father on the course. So that was kind of awkward. And then, but it turned into a learning experience where I got to tell her about interval running because she wanted to know why I was counting. So yeah, exciting. Like I said, it was hot, yellow flag, got into the 90s. Honestly, I was doing super well though, up until basically until I got to Hope Hill, Cardiac Hill. I was going way faster than I should have, so that was not good. But I was just feeling really, really good. And then when we hit the hill, I knew because the incline is pretty intense, I was just going to walk up the hill. And I did. I spent a lot of the hill walking. I tried a few little run intervals there, but mostly I just walked up the hill because my heart rate was skyrocketing at this point.
Ooh.
And I was very uncomfy, and the sun was out and it was bright. And that's where things started to, I'm not going to say full on spiral because I still had a great race. Like I still had a great time, but I just did not feel good. By the time I made it to my second fueling opportunity, I had been walking a ton. I wasn't feeling good. I was so sweaty, I couldn't open my own fuel. I went to a random stranger on the sidewalk and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you open this?" Looked at me like, "What the heck?" And but he did. He opened it for me, and then I said thanks and ran away. So, you know, that went great. And then by the time I made it to like mile 5.5, so like from 4.5 to 5.5 for a mile, I just felt like I was absolutely dying. But then we got a little bit of shade back. I ran through a few of the misters. They have these mister sprinklers all over the course,
Ooh.
which I I was torn about. Like part of me really wanted to run through them and part of me was worried that I was going to like accidentally soak my shoes or something, which didn't sound great. So I ran through the edges of a few of them. By the end, I was like full on running through them because it was hot enough that between sprinklers, you had plenty of time to dry off.
Oh, nice.
So it was very enjoyable. And then for that last mile, I was feeling great. That second fuel kicked in. I had taken more water on, and I just like carried that through to the end and felt awesome. So I think I probably needed to fuel a little bit earlier and a little more frequently. And then maybe I could have avoided that dip, which was unfortunate, but I had a great time. It was accidentally a PR because I've never
Woo!
because I've never raced never raced a 10K. I've participated in many 10Ks at Disney, but for the purposes of completing a challenge, so therefore I'm basically just there to take photos. Which means I'm usually walking the
Cash
entire
walk.
thing. Yeah. Having fun. So when I submitted my proof of time for this race, I was like, "Oh, I don't have like a real time to submit. So I'm sure I'm going to be at the end," which was fine because I was going in for the party race, like to have fun. I wasn't going in there for speed. I just wanted to enjoy and run and experience it. So that was kind of cool-ish, I guess, that I now have a time that involves some running. I guess I don't know what that means, but we can ring an imaginary PR bell like they do on Rise and Run. Ding 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 ding.
True that.
Yeah, I had a really good time. My costume, I got a lot of compliments on my costume across the race course. One random lady not in the race was just like cutting across the course, which is a bold move in a race that big.
Bold.
She was trying to cross the street and she like ran right in front of me and sort of she didn't block me or anything, but she sort of like stopped, did a double take and said, "Ooh, you look pretty," and kept walking. And I was flattered. I had so much fun. The only downside of my whole costume was that I had these red heart-shaped sunglasses that I got off of Amazon, and they were definitely not designed for athletics because they were super slippery, and I have a nose bump that cradles some glasses pretty well, but they kept slipping. I was very sweaty, and they kept slipping down my nose, so I had to keep pushing them up. That was a little bit annoying. I saw a lot of really great signs on course. A ton of the power-ups. I will never not think the mushroom power-ups are not cute, especially when it's a little child holding it. It's just extra
Aw.
cute and they get a big kick out of you coming and like high-fiving or punching their sign. So that when they get happy, it makes you happy and it just like is contagious and I just think that's so cute.
Aw.
There was also a woman sitting in a camp chair and her sign was my absolute favorite sign on course. It said, "Run fast or don't. It's really none of my business."
Oh, man.
Which I literally stopped and was like, "I love your sign."
That's amazing.
There is no pace shaming. Hooray.
Good.
I saw a lot of like really creative outfits on course, but there was actually a couple cheering on course or on the side, and they were dressed up as Lady Liberty and Uncle Sam. They were pretty cute, like full costume, like
Love.
headpiece to toe, full costume. They were lots of fun. I I enjoyed that I was kind of running solo. I've talked about this before when I ran the Princess Half where I just felt like I could do whatever I wanted. I kind of
Mhm.
like running by myself sometimes, especially in races. I don't know about like on training runs. Training runs I enjoy having a partner, but during races I think it's kind of fun to like move to the beat of your own drum and make your
Lock in.
choices. Yeah, lock in if you want to. I think if I had fueled better, I really could have truly locked in, but it was very, very fun. MB and Megan had the time of their lives. I was having fun, but like they were having fun. Capital FUN fun. Megan, I think she said that she had 5 beers, a shot of Fireball, and a Jello shot on course, and I would be dead in a bush if I consumed if I consumed
And
that.
an Alani, I think.
Oh, yeah, and an Alani. I think they had those close to the end. Maybe
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
they've crossed the finish line with them, or they got pictures close to the finish line with
They
them.
both need to submit that for sponsorship.
Yes.
It was very cool. We had planned to meet up post race with them in like the meadow, but I was not my big toe. So I've talked about this before. Both of my big toes I bruised during last dopey training cycle. And recently, I think, hopefully you skipped forward. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty details, but I lost part of my toenail.
Woof.
That same toe was throbbing at the end of the 10K. And
Ugh.
this was my first run. Like, I wasn't really sure how to compensate. I didn't know if I needed to like tape it differently or if I needed, like, I wasn't really sure what to do with it. And I think I might have tied my shoe a little bit loose. So that might have contributed. Not really sure. But my toe was very uncomfortable and my tummy was also not happy, which is definitely a result of the lack of electrolytes and fueling. So Ben and I tried to skedaddle as quickly as possible to go home. We managed to stop and get a Chick-fil-A sweat towel in the meadow. We also got there was a big Coke was a sponsor, so there was Powerade. Every Coke drink, they had Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite, Fanta, every color of Powerade you could ever imagine. Rain was also a sponsor or a vendor there, and Ben got to take home an entire case of Rain. Not a singular can, a whole case.
A whole can.
Which he carried the whole case all the way from the center of Piedmont Park to a MARTA bus that we took to a MARTA train that we then walked another mile to our car.
Dang.
Because you it's since you start and end in a different spot, like, you have to get back to the beginning if you park. A lot of people do the reverse. They park at the end and then take MARTA to the start, so they don't have to go anywhere at the end. Kind of have a lot of
Mm.
options there. Um, but it worked out really well. Oh, one other really exciting thing that happened, like, at the end was as I crossed the finish line, I was very stoked to see the Chiquita banana mascot. Banana.
Banana.
Banana. We had been looking for him, her, I don't know if bananas have gender, um, them, and we were looking for them at the expo and they weren't there, which was kind of a bummer, and I spotted them right at the end and walked up to, like, their handler, I guess, and was like, "Would it be possible for me to take a photo with the banana?" And they were like, "Of course!" They were so excited, and they took a picture with my phone and all that stuff, and I start to walk away, and then this other guy from the Chiquita Banana comes over to me with one of those humongous professional cameras and is like, I just saw I saw your temporary tattoo while you were taking a photo. Do you think I could take a video of you with the banana for social media?" And I was like, "Oh,
Absolutely, yes.
yes, absolutely, you can." And then he, had to ask if they could use my likeness and their promotional materials or whatever, but I said yes. I don't know if it's ever actually going to make it on social media. I'm sure they took a lot of stuff and have to sift through what they're going to use and not, but I just thought that was really funny. I told Ben and all the girls about it as soon as we got done and was like, "Wouldn't that be the hardest of launches?" I haven't even launched the business and my tattoo is featured on the Chiquita Banana social.
Iconic.
So I've been stalking their Instagram just to see if it'll show up or not, but I was honored and it was very fun. And yeah, we got our shirts. They were red. They're red Adidas, so they have those white stripes on the sleeve. And it was, a really fun design. And it's like an athletic shirt, which is nice. Very lightweight, very quality. What else? We took the MARTA, talked about that. I think my favorite moment of the day, I kind of have three. It's a little bit of a like wrestling with what my favorite part was. The banana was very exciting. Sappy but true is that I was so excited to see some of our friends in person. Some of them for the first time. Like I've FaceTimed, we've texted, we've been on the pod together, all kinds of things, but this was like the first time we saw each other in person. So that was very exciting. It wasn't awkward at all, which is nice. You never know when you meet people on the internet. It was so genuine. And just the joy of like being there. A lot of people enjoyed my outfit, which, it's nice when people compliment your outfit when you put some effort into it. And I enjoy sparkling. So, like, yay. And I would recommend it. Like, if you have been listening to any of this and it sounded like fun, I am absolutely doing it again. I would say about half the squad has already registered for next year, and the rest of us are just like waiting to make sure we can take vacation days and stuff around it for the people that aren't local. But I think we're going to have such a ball next year, and it would be so cool to see a bunch of people there. We saw so many Run Disney people on course. Puppet Runner was there, and I didn't even see him until after I saw the post. Like, I saw a social media post later. I can't believe we missed Puppet Runner.
I
We're
love
gonna
him.
we're gonna have to be on the lookout next year.
True that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Natalie, do you have any questions at this point?
Oh, I
What's
sure do.
what's been brewing?
If you know me, you know something's always brewing. So, I'd say I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about, like, the different like, coming from somebody who's a Run Disney runner,
Mhm.
what how was, differences, I think we've kind of gone into that, but how did that shape your kinda experience and maybe your expectation level of this race?
I knew that it was a really big race, so I knew that it was, like, comparable people-wise to Chicago, so I was not apprehensive, I guess, but I think it made me feel like I needed to prep, like, way more to make sure I was gonna get there on time and think about the logistics and all that stuff, and it was actually really chill. I don't know how they do that with so many people, that
Mhm.
they achieve that. It just felt, like, really easy to show up and be there, and I had the nerves, like I always have nerves before Run Disney any race, um, but it was really, really fun. I do enjoy sleeping in my own bed
Yeah.
for a local, so that was exciting. Um, the there's a lot of crowd support in, like, I would say the intensity, let's say this. There's crowd support the whole way, but the intensity of the crowd support really increases the closer and closer you get to the end, because the closer you get to the end, the closer you are to basically the most popular part of Atlanta and
Mhm.
the main park. It's just a really, like, hopping neighborhood. It was so many people by the end. Um, so from that sense, like, it was very exciting. I can't say that the crowd energy is the same as running, like, Chicago, because I think there's something about a world major that, like, people just, like, really come out
Yeah,
for.
fair.
Um, and I don't
Like the
think that would
pro
be a fair comparison even though they have the same size. Um, when you compare it to Run Disney, it's nice to not have to wake up quite as early. However, it was brutally hot. Um, Obviously not as hot as last year where they had to cancel it, but, like, I remember thinking while running that it felt hotter than my first springtime surprise, and my first springtime surprise was really hot and
Mhm.
humid, and people were dropping like flies in that. So, I did hear there were some people struggling on course this year. I think that's probably something that happens every year just because it's so hot here in July, and it's big, a ton of people come from out of town, so, probably not a lot of people, or there probably is a lot of people not used to it. The camaraderie is a little bit different, I guess. Like, everyone's there to party, but it's not the same, like, you know how in a Run Disney race, like, if you spot someone wearing, like, another sparkle athletic skirt or crowned or a zippity tee or, like, something you recognize, you can, like, run up to a random stranger in the middle of a race with no fear in the world that if you say, like, "You're doing amazing, good job," or, like, "I love your skirt," or whatever, that
Mhm.
they're gonna be, like, super receptive to that.
Oh, yeah,
And you
everyone
might make
is.
a new best friend on course.
True that.
Um I would say I had mixed results with that. Like, I am a very like, I was embodying Run Disney happiness vibes on that course, and I cannot say that everyone on course was also as happy about it as I was. Some of that might have been the weather. I did see other people in sparkle skirts and tried to tell them, like, "Hey, I love your skirt," or whatever. Um, it wasn't the same level of interaction that you would get at a Run Disney race. It does not compare in that way, but it was still very,
Right
very
on.
fun.
Cool. It's always somewhat interesting because, most of our races between you and I are at Disney.
Yeah.
So, to compare, what it is like, what's a tip that you would give to somebody running Peachtree for the first time or something that you would change about, like, your own experience?
Hydrate and fuel, because like, I'm still a beginner, I feel like, but I've also run quite a few races at this point. but I still messed it up a little bit. Don't underestimate how hot it could be. When it's hotter, you go through more. I think a lot of people, 10K can sort of be that break even point of whether or not you need to fuel. But when it's hotter, you're gonna burn through your energy stores so much faster, and you're gonna be sweating like no one's business because it's humid here. No one needs to know how much sweat happens. Um, you know how people joke like, "I don't sweat, I sparkle." No, no, no. I sparkle, but I am also sweating profusely. So I would just, like, recommend like, next year, I probably will bring my hydration vest just so I have water the whole way, and for more storage, because that was kind of the reason I probably underfueled a little bit is my outfit had limited storage options just because all I had would have like, the shorts I picked didn't have pockets on the side, I only had the back
Mm,
pocket, so it was like, "What can I stuff in that back pocket, and what can I stuff in my bra?" That's basically my options. Yeah, I think that would be the big thing is, like, hydrate and prepare for it to be hot. I don't think it's ever not been hot,
yeah, I
so
think we'd have to fear for something if it was not hot.
if you're not looking for hot, come join us at the polar opposite in
Just
January.
what you can do is you can just fly to Atlanta and then do that. That's like your shakeout for dopey or,
Yep. It
and then
literally is the weekend before, so yes. What an extended vacation that would be. If you don't live in Florida or in Atlanta, make your connection, do a like delayed layover for the Peachtree polar opposite in January. Come in the weekend before, then spend the entire week in Disney for Dopey, and then go home.
sounds completely logical to me.
Absolutely.
Now, am I committing to doing that? No, but I'll think about it. Maybe.
It kinda lines up pretty well by the time you've tapered down for Dopey, the weekend before is kind of like
It's like a
6-ish
6.
miles, I
Yeah.
think, so
Oh, it's not that part. It's the whole I usually need, like, every minute to get my, like, ish
packing.
together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair. Absolutely fair.
Let me think if there's anything else that I have. Oh, would you say that this is worth a spot on a bucket list?
Yes. 1,000%. It is so much fun. Um, it is probably going to be like, I don't it's you're getting a lot of that, like, world major experience vibes and stuff because there's just so many people, and I think it's probably one of the easiest races of such a size to actually get into
Mhm.
because, yes, there is a lottery, but if you, like, plan ahead, you totally can, like, just pick like, wait for the race 1 year. If you wanna do it the next year, register in that week post-race, guaranteed in, don't have to worry about anything. You got a whole year to plan, and it's just so much fun, and the after party in the park is on a whole different level compared to, like, even compared to Disney.
Wow.
Like, there's DJs and stuff, but there's a whole like, Adidas is a sponsor for a lo basically, they're the official sponsor for Atlanta Track Club, so they're the sponsor of all the races the track club puts on, but they have, like, a whole zone, like, if you sign up for, their run club online, which is free, by the way, you can go into their, like, exclusive zone where they've got all the, like, after perks and food and snacks, and I think they have massage and stuff going on in that tent. They gave us a peach at the finish, they gave us a banana at the finish. We got these massive cooling towels, like, at least 3 times as big as the ones they give at Disney. Um,
Wow.
they're huge, and like I said, like, Chick-fil-A was giving away stuff in the park, there was food options, there was a DJ, there was music. You could apparently get a whole entire case of rain if you're into that. Um, I had so much life-saving Coke post-race, and there's so many official photographers post-race. Um, there's like all these different photo spots everywhere. You can just walk up to, there's official photographers everywhere. You can just walk up and be like, can you take my picture? And you don't necessarily, like, if you want one of the ones with like a background or with like props, those have some lines, but there's so many. The line goes so fast. And it's just huge. Like the after party is probably at least double, if not triple the size of Disney. It's humongous. I mean, if you think about like how many people run in a Run Disney race compared to it, it has to be because there's so many people running. They need the space.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. And then there's free beer for everyone that finishes. So if you're into that, you get a free beer. If you're over 21, of course. But yes, it is 1,000% bucket list worthy. And because I live here, I will be doing it again. I can cross it off, but I'm going to keep crossing it off.
Are we surprised? Because I feel like every time one of us says something like, yeah, it's a one-time thing.
Never.
Never.
I'm going to have to go back for Chicago eventually to redeem myself. So get ready for the year that we have to do it together. So it's not a one and done for your fall marathon summer training.
Oh, well, I'll forget about how like miserably hot it is outside. I sent a message to my boss and I was like, next time I do that. And then when I insist, oh no, I've learned so much. I've learned how to like not go too fast in my training runs. I've learned how to, hydrate properly. Remind me that I said this. No, don't worry. I'm going to forget about how much I don't like it or how much I'm not enjoying this as soon as I'll probably already have forgotten about it before the race even.
Yep. It's just like swimming in school. You have the swim season, you have an entire off season to forget about how much you hated being on the swim team, and then you sign up and do it all over again for 4 years.
So I didn't hate it, but I understand
did.
the sentiment.
I pretty much, by the time I joined my freshman year, I wanted to quit within 2 weeks. My dad said I couldn't. And then by sophomore year, I started playing water polo, so I didn't have a choice. I did, just so everyone's clear. Yes, I could have not done it, but then I would have been in a really bad spot for water polo.
It happens.
I think that's it.
Well, I can't say I have my flights booked, but in my head they're booked. Judging by the fact that that night I had a dream that you were flying up to me, but it was also on American Airlines, which is confusing because you're in the Delta capital of the world. So, really confusing why I was tracking in my sleep. Natalie was tracking AA for Hannah's flight, but I'm in.
Let's do it. And if you ran Peachtree this year, we'd love to hear about it. Tag us at Stride Sisters Podcast or share your race day memories. Join us on the Facebook group, all that stuff that we normally say in our outro. Don't worry, we're going to say it again. But we would love to hear about it.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. See you next time, guys.
If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.
One second. Sushi's trying to eat my headphone jack. Sushi, stop that. No. Ow. Don't make me grab your scruff, ma'am.
This is absolutely becoming a secret sound.
Mm-mm.